Welcome to Effective Note-Taking, a set of 3 short tutorials in our Successful Learner series. In Note-Taking Tutorial number 1, we will discuss why it is important to take notes in class and how to prepare yourself to take effective notes, including notebook organization. Note-Taking Tutorial number 2 will describe 4 different formats for taking and utilizing notes: the outlining format, the 2-column format, also called the Cornell method, the note chart format, and the mind mapping format. And finally, Note-Taking Tutorial number 3 will give you some key strategies for utilizing your notes after the lecture for studying. So let's get started with tutorial number 1. Most students think that note-taking is strictly an in-class event. Not true. To be an effective note-taker, you must use strategies to prepare to take notes, other strategies to take the notes, and finally additional strategies to utilize your notes after class in a way that will enhance your learning of the material covered. So if you have the textbook, why should you even bother to take notes in class? Most likely there is additional material that will be only presented in lecture and that is not in the textbook. And of course, the instructor will probably not expect you to learn all of the material in the textbook. Be prepared for each class. Do the reading in your text ahead of time for the material that will be covered that day in each class. That will make your note-taking easier because you will already be familiar with much of the material and key vocabulary. And remember, if it is in the textbook and the instructor takes the time to cover it in lecture, it must be important to know. Lecture is also a time for the instructor to explain concepts in a lot more detail and give valuable examples to aid comprehension. And of course, who doesn't want better grades? In order to be an effective note-taker, you need to improve your attention and listening skills. If you are not at your best, you won't do your best. Make sure that you get enough rest, nourish your body, and stay hydrated. Come to class with a positive attitude and ready to learn. And when choosing where to sit in class, sit in the power center of the room, free from as many distractions as possible, like windows, doors, and even those students who tend to talk among themselves during lecture. And of course, effective listening demands that you stay alert, avoid daydreaming, and look past anything about the instructor that may be distracting. When you take notes, you are staying active during class, and that in itself will help you to stay focused. Your cells require lots of oxygen to function at their best, including your brain cells. So remember to breathe deeply to maximize your learning. And as silly as it sounds, if you find yourself losing focus or even falling asleep, take more deep breaths. Try sucking on a peppermint, and even try removing one of your shoes. The strong smell and taste of a peppermint can help make you more alert. And as silly as it sounds, removing one shoe sets up a temperature difference in your body that can help you regain focus as well. Instructors provide many intentional and unintentional clues that indicate what they feel is important and what you should be sure to get recorded in your notes. Listen for key vocabulary that the instructor uses over and over again. If they give examples of this vocabulary or related concepts, they are trying to emphasize this material is important for you to know. Always copy all diagrams, charts, and graphs from the board, and anything else the instructor writes on the board. If they take the time to put something on the board, it will probably be on the exam, and therefore important to put in your notes. Remember, teachers are human beings, and like any human being, their voice inflections, obvious interest and excitement level, and gestures should make it obvious to you that they are passionate about certain material and therefore expect you to write it down so you will remember it. For example, if an instructor leaves their podium and moves in closer to the students while they are explaining a concept, they must feel that it's very important. Of course, it's not possible or necessary to write down everything the instructor says. When taking notes, use the listen, look, think, understand, paraphrase, write method to decide what to write. This method allows you to put the material into your own words, which will make it easier to remember. Be sure to listen for key words and phrases that indicate something important is about to be explained, summarized, or concluded. Examples of such words or phrases could include the following 3 factors: the most important, therefore, thus, the main point is. And if you're lucky, the instructor might even point blank tell you that something is going to be on the exam, and you should certainly write down that material. Finally, if you're a second language learner or you simply find that you're having difficulty keeping up with the instructor when taking notes, stop after class and ask the instructor if you may record their lectures. Most instructors will be fine with this, but it is their class and therefore their prerogative to say no. And some final hints for listening during lecture. When the instructor checks their watch and realizes the class is almost over, they will often want to still finish the planned material for that day. So pay good attention. A good instructor will summarize key points from the day's lecture, as well as key points at the beginning of the next class. So be sure to have these points in your notes. And remember, You are taking the class to learn. Each of us has our own beliefs, and even if you don't agree with some of the instructor's beliefs, don't let that distract you. Organization is key to effective note-taking. Keep the material for each class in a separate notebook, and notebooks with built-in pockets help to keep your handouts and returned exams organized for future study. If you date each day's notes, number the pages for that day, and start each day's notes on a new page, there will be no question when you covered what material and in what order. This can also help you to group material that will be covered on each test or quiz as you proceed through the semester. And of course, it's a waste of time to recopy your notes, so write legibly the first time. There is no reason to waste time writing notes in complete sentences. These notes are just for you, so write only what you need in order to remember the material. Come up with a consistent set of abbreviations and symbols for frequently used basic words and to draw attention to the most important material. Only write on one side of the page and leave plenty of white space between concepts or when you don't understand a concept. Save the back of the page for diagrams, charts, graphs, and additional material on the concepts on the front of the page that may be added at a later date, and the extra white space can be used for concept clarification. This concludes tutorial number 1 on effective note-taking. Employing these rather simple preparation strategies for note-taking will have you ready to most effectively utilize the 4 note-taking formats that will be presented in the next note-taking tutorial. See you in note-taking tutorial number 2.